Ian Garry is the best Islam Makhachev opponent ever. He's better than Dustin Poirier, who's slow, who's telegraphic, he has auntie hips. He's better than JDM because JDM is stagnant. Oh, what about Charles Oliveira? What about his jiu-jitsu? Well, he's too fucking reckless on the feet, right? You don't get a chance to use your jiu-jitsu if you're doing flying crane kicks. Alexander Volkanovski, yeah, he's a great fighter. He's also greatly undersized. Ian Garry isn't undersized. He's tall. He's not reckless. He's very technical. He's fast. He has great flexibility. Strictly as an opponent, matchup-wise, size and physical attributes included, he's the best Islam Makhachev opponent ever. I don't care what chair he sits in. I don't care what he says or does outside the octagon because the nigga can fight. And same for Islam Makhachev as well. This is going to be a highly skilled fight. That being said, I think this fight is still going to be very ugly and very boring to the average fan. Ian Garry is a nuisance. He runs around the octagon. Islam isn't really a chaser, so there's a very high chance the fight ends up like these two scenarios. There's a possibility that Islam could just get super annoyed like Jeff noted and just deduce himself as a fighter. Or Islam could really just get after him, try to shut down that movement style early and like just choke him unconscious very early on. Yesterday in the press conference, he kind of like tried to allude to that.
Pressure him, take him down, broke him and finish him there.
But like, I'm just not really buying into that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do think Islam can and will take him down, but I just don't know how much circular movement he's gonna have to go through before this actually happens and how aggressive or stubborn he's truly willing to be. And I'm not saying that Ian Garry is Jose Aldo or some wizardly takedown defensive god, but for somebody that long, he does have great balance. He's rarely ever super upright like a JDM when he does his little high guard bullshit. And like, I'm not saying JDM is a bad fighter. Like, I'm not gonna hop on the hate train, but he's just not very adaptable. He didn't adjust in the protest fight. He didn't adjust or adapt in the Islam fight. Like, even when Shavkat got a takedown that's very similar to how Islam gets his takedowns, the next following round, Ian Garry was able to stuff a one that was very similar to that one as well. And I mentioned these two takedown attempts to say, yes, one, Ian Garry's booty is hitting that mat. But two, the kid could fight. He has fight IQ. He's adaptable. He adapted that quick. He's got some solid work off his back in terms of just staying active with elbows. And he also does this like body lock thing. I don't know if you want to necessarily body lock Islam Makhachev, but like Oliveira did annoy him a lot with that. But nigga, you ain't Charles Oliveira, so like, cut that shit out. Hopefully he's like doing it when it's contextually appropriate and not just doing it to do it like he's done a lot. I'm not gonna mark that down as like a major problem because he's still very hard to take down anyway. Like Shavkat and Bilal, I think we're like 2 for 19 on takedowns. And I'm very aware both of these guys aren't Islam Makhachev level, but when you're analyzing a new matchup, you have to pinpoint tendencies. And Garry has had good showings against these tendencies that Islam possesses. Islam probably has like 100 takedowns per organism. So I'm not saying this fucks him if it gets shut down, but like it is good to see. I'm not gonna lie. But really the one thing I hate about Ian Garry is how easy he is to get put in the clinch. And like it's usually against the fence and like a guy's just like pinning him to the cage. It's happened in like so many fights, not just the Shavkat fight, but other fights as well. And like, don't get me wrong, like he'll try his hardest to get out of it. Like he'll get into this like super fruity, like vegan bend, you know, he'll start getting like flexible and just like grit his way out of it at some point. But for the most part, guys are just able to like really just stall against him. And even Jeff Neal has like a very similar build to Islam and had tons of success doing this exact thing as well. And like I've seen Islam in the clinch, like he's not like a guy that's consistently gonna like impose his head and like really do this, but like his game planning is so good that I can almost guarantee something of this sort will be incorporated if there's enough time and logistics to do so. He's more of a hand fighter and like, you know, throw some knees, bait you to throw knees so he gets your knee and like, you know, like super technical. Like he's not really a staller, but like he might want to do this in this fight just to drain some energy out the kid. Like nobody wants to be like a hunter against like a very skilled point fighter. Like Ian's gonna give Islam problems he's never really seen before. Like a long guy on the outside that he has to chase, you know, get through those teeps, knee stomps, you know, all those obliques, you know, the good jabs. Like this kid's young, he's active, he's gonna be moving every single second of this fight. And like he's not gonna be doing this white tiger gimmick like right? And then proceed to just sleepwalk into a gym Jimmy John's combo like 30 seconds later. I'm not saying Ian Garry's Volk, but he moves closer to him than Dustin Poirier, than Charles Oliveira, than all these other guys. And Volk gave him a tough fight. Not the second fight where he was off of fish and chips. I'm talking about the first fight, the most skilled fight ever. Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski won. If you want to beat these grapplers, if you want to beat high-level fighters like Islam Makhachev, it's not going to be these power-first guys. It's about movement. It's about speed. It's about how well you can jump in and out of range. It's about how disruptive you are. I did see Islam fight on the front foot, putting some high pressure on two guys, one of them being Dan Hooker, but he got killed. The other guy was Thiago Moises, which was pretty unfortunate because he's shit and he's a midget. But as I said before, we're studying tendencies, and I did notice a couple of things. One being Islam opted for a ton of takedowns on the cage, which is something that Ian Garry is just going to shut down. Like, obviously, I said he's kind of weak and he can get clinched, but taking him down from the clinch is an entirely different situation, and he's just done a great job at not allowing that to happen throughout his career. And two, I noticed that Islam was feinting the takedown a lot, and honestly just feinting a lot in general, to the point where he almost felt stagnant. I don't know whether this was because he's uncomfortable moving forward. I don't know if this was because he respected Thiago's power and strength. I just think Islam stood in front of him a bit too long, like even to the point where Khabib had to like remind him like, yo, remember father's plan, like you got to take this dude down. He still comfortably won this fight because Thiago wasn't willing to move left or right for some reason. It's just definitely something to notice. Like, he did stay on the feet too long, but he did do a good job with feinting the takedown. And Ian Garry was like super worried about the takedown versus Bilal, like low stance, and he was even letting him clip him with some crosses here and there. So if Islam was to win this fight, his path to victory would be using takedown feints to set up his strikes, drop down, seek that left hand straight, and at some point just impose your physicality, hold him against the cage, suck all that energy out. And the second they separate, Islam should go back on the pressure and take him down. Like, don't let him scramble out. You get him on the scramble and look for the submission, because the longer this fight goes, in my opinion, the harder it is for Islam to win. That being said, I do think Ian Garry's game plan is much easier to execute. He's done it before. He's really done it in every fight. Islam is his best opponent ever, but to be honest, he's much more suited for Islam than Islam is for him, just based off of who they've faced before. Ian should be annoying, disruptive, circle out the cage, take away that Islam body kick, punish him for approaching your range or being sluggish with kicks, and just have a very active jab. And I think Ian can and will do this. He's going to become the welterweight champion of the world. He's going to break the Canon event, you know. A lot of strikers have tried and a lot of strikers have failed. But looking back at all the Islam and Khabib opponents, I really think this guy is the one. Like, nearly all of them have like a fatal flaw or are just stylistically not suited for them. You can't really name a more well-rounded fighter Islam or Khabib has fought than Ian Garry. Like, combining size plus skill, you can't name them. I'm not falling into the canon event of these previous grapplers versus strikers. I'm not falling into the canon event of Dagestan versus Ireland. And analyzing and predicting, it's always process over results. And Ian Garry, to me, is the best process pick. This is far from a 100% win on either side. Man, if Islam could really get this done, bro, if he could really shut this kid down, bro, it won't be because this was a bad prediction, man. It will just be because Islam's that fucking good.